When we see a superstar athlete at the absolute top of their game, we see all the glamour, right? The fame, the money, the glory. But what if there's a hidden price tag on all that success? A debt that has nothing to do with money, but everything to do with an obligation to the very society that put them on that pedestal. Let's dig into this idea that maybe, just maybe, fame isn't a reward, it's a loan that has to be paid back.
So we see stars giving back all the time, usually through charity work or what some call talent donation. And we tend to see it as this totally selfless act. But is it really? I mean, when a star does something for free, are they actually getting nothing for it? Or is this a whole different kind of payment we're not thinking about? Let's break this down into two forms of payment. On one hand, you've got a regular paycheck. That usually means you're an employee, you take orders. But on the other hand, when you offer your talent as a gift, the whole currency changes. You get paid in something else: admiration, gratitude, respect. And you know what? That kind of payment can be way more powerful than cash. And this right here gets to the absolute heart of it. That public goodwill, it isn't just some nice little bonus. It is the payment. The transaction is already complete. A star is trading their talent, not for money, but for public adoration. And that adoration is the very fuel for their fame and influence. Okay, so if public adoration is a kind of payment, it makes you ask a much bigger question. Where does all that energy, all that fame and influence, even come from in the first place? Well, the answer really gets to the core of what stardom is all about. The idea of a self-made superstar is, well, it's mostly a myth. Nobody gets to that level by themselves. They're lifted up. Their entire journey is fueled by a huge collective investment from all of us. Every ticket we buy, every jersey we wear, every game we watch. It's like we're making a deposit into their bank account of fame. So who are the real investors in a star's career? It's the people. It's our collective energy, our hope. It's the nation's resources that create the whole environment for one person to rise above everyone else. This isn't just some vague concept of support. It's a very real transfer of a society's energy, all focused on one single person. And this massive collective investment creates what this explainer calls a societal debt. It's kind of an unspoken contract. The public has poured all of its energy into this one person, and now there's an expectation, an obligation for that star to pay it back. Not for themselves, but for the good of everyone. And ignoring this debt, well, it can have serious consequences. This quote is basically a warning. If you misuse the energy the people gave you, judgment is coming. Now, you can call that higher power, public opinion, the judgment of history, or even just karma. But we've all seen it happen, right? The fall from grace is incredibly fast when the public feels like their investment was wasted. All right, so if a star has this enormous debt, how in the world are they supposed to repay it? It's not something you can fix with a few charity donations. No, it requires a plan, a real vision, a blueprint for a legacy that's just as big as their fame. This is what that blueprint looks like, a path that takes you from being a champion to being a true global leader. It's a complete transformation. You start by finding a real global need, and then you make a foundational contribution. We're talking about building a school, not just visiting one for a photo op. From there, you build on it, launch an organization, get other leaders on board, and eventually become a figurehead for global change. And let's be crystal clear about this. This is totally different from the usual celebrity charity work. This isn't about one-off checks or looking good for the cameras. It's a strategic, lifelong mission to build an institution, a movement that keeps doing good long, long after the applause dies down. And a mission this big has an incredible magnetic pull. When a star is genuinely dedicated to a cause, they can rally powerful allies from everywhere. As you can see here, they can bring together other stars, top business leaders, the public, creating this unique coalition for change that almost no one else on the planet could assemble. Now, when a star actually goes on a mission like this, the impact isn't just felt by the people they help directly. The benefits create this powerful ripple effect that comes all the way back to their home country. And the payoff for the nation is just massive. When one of its stars becomes a global force for good, it elevates the entire country's brand. It builds trust, it enhances what experts call soft power. All of a sudden, that nation's leaders get a warmer reception on the world stage. It can even change how the country's own citizens see their role in the world. And it's all because one person decided to become a symbol of something bigger. This is such a powerful idea. A nation's brand isn't really about its cars or its electronics. It's about its heroes. When a country produces a person who embodies its best values for the whole world to see, that person becomes an absolutely priceless asset. They represent the nation in a way no product ever could.
This all leads us to the final, and maybe the most critical transformation of all. It's the journey from just being popular to being truly, deeply respected. And believe me, those two things are not the same at all.
So here you see the choice that every superstar eventually faces. There's the standard path. It's predictable. Peak fame leads to commercials, maybe a coaching job, and then you slowly fade into a trivia question. But then there's the legacy path. That's where you take that temporary fame and turn it into something permanent, lasting respect, and a place in history as a true leader. And here's what that arc looks like. It starts with that peak moment of fame, the championship, the gold medal. Then comes the pivot, and this is the most important part. It's where all that energy gets redirected into a bigger mission. The final stage isn't retirement. It's a state of enduring legacy, where your name becomes synonymous with respect and positive change. This is basically the ultimate call to action. Popularity is just the starting point. It's the entry fee. The real challenge is to convert that fame into an equal amount of respect, or even more. And the warning here is pretty stark. If you don't make that conversion, your life of fame becomes meaningless. So at the end of the day, the real message is this. The trophy, the medal, that first big victory, that's not the end goal. The real test, the true challenge, is what happens next. It's about turning that fleeting moment of popularity into a permanent legacy of respected leadership. Which really brings us to our final big question. What is the true purpose of fame? Is it just a reward for being great at something? Or is it a resource, a powerful tool that's given to a very few people, with the expectation that they'll use it to build something that lasts? What do you think?